Hello, everybody. It's Eric Coffin from the November 2017 Metal Investors Forum in Vancouver. I'm here with a company that I follow in the Hard Rock Analyst, Regulus Resources. They're drilling a pretty exciting project that's already got a big resource, but I think the CEO, John Black, I think can give you good reasons to expect it's going to get a lot larger. They've certainly put out some of the most impressive drill holes anyone has this year. I think some real boomers, and I'm hoping there's more of those to come. Can you give us sort of the capsule version of why this project? You've certainly got experience discovering large-scale copper systems and selling them to majors. Mm-hmm. I know when Regulus was created, you spent a fair amount of time before you really settled on this project. I mean, what was it about this project that attracted you?
What really attracted us most about this project were the rocks on it. And it wasn't just ourselves that knew about this. I think most geologists working in Peru had heard about some of the previous drilling that had happened at the project. Right. There were 2 campaigns by junior companies that had managed to discover some really interesting copper-gold skarn mineralization in what was historically known as a high sulfidation vein and epithermal disseminated gold type district on this. And so it was really their work that discovered the deposit. But the proximity of the project to an active mine and the fact that it was an old district meant that it had a lot of legal complications and social complications to it. And most of us thought it was a great project geologically, but a little too difficult to handle. Right. When we realized it was available and that the group that had it, Fernando Pickman, was running Southern Legacy Peru, we realized that he had done some wonderful work to clean up a lot of the issues on it. And it was kind of a light bulb moment for us when we realized, hey, we've always liked these rocks. We just thought they were unobtainable in many ways. Right. And he'd done the work that was necessary to clean it up and set the table. And we merged our 2 companies together, taking his project and his excellent legal and social work on it, and merging it with our technical team and our track record and our background on drilling projects like this out. So it was kind of just serendipity that it worked, that we realized that this was a project that we could obtain and move forward with. And
I know it's a very interesting property position. I think your drill rigs are sort of in the pit next door, mm-hmm. But the company next door. I mean, I guess if you can, like, very briefly, it's not really a joint venture you have with them. You're working together, but it's not like a joint venture. There's no legal ownership or crossing.
It's best described as a collaborative exploration agreement. Right. And essentially what we do is they're mining the high sulfidation epithermal deposit next door, the oxidized portion of it. So the top part of it they can take off and heap leach for gold. Right. Beneath that they have a large copper gold sulfide deposit in the volcanic rocks that's high sulfidation mineralization. And next door, we have the high sulfidation mineralization, and beneath that, the copper gold skarn mineralization. So we have a portion of the deposit, and they have a portion of the deposit. And our land is quite complexly interfingered, so it was difficult for either party to move forward. So what we've done is we've established a collaborative agreement that allows us to share permits, share access. We have drill rigs that sometimes start on their ground and finish on our ground. As you said, we've had holes that started in their pit that terminated in our ground next door. So it's a rather unusual agreement, but the objective is to identify what we have. If we knew exactly how large the deposit was and where it was, we'd probably be negotiating a sale to them or an agreement like that. Right now, we both think we have the better part. Right. And better could be cleaner, closer to the surface, higher grade, or some combination of those. And so until we drill it out, we can't really have that discussion.
Now, and you're basically in the midst, well, early, I suppose, in a very significant drill program. I mean, my impression talking to you is that you plan to just sort of keep drilling. I know you were looking at getting new rigs and stuff. I mean, where do things stand now in terms of the number of rigs on the property?
Well, the nature of this system and the size of project that we think it could be will probably require between 100 and 200,000 meters of drilling to have enough data to take it to a pre-feasibility stage on this. Okay. We're starting with 17,000 meters of drilling only. Okay. Not a lot. It's enough to indicate a pretty interesting resource. We have 295 million tons of effectively 0.8 copper equivalent, 0.48 copper, 0.36 gold, and some silver to start with. We think that has room to expand quite a bit. So it will be a lot of drilling to get this done. We started about mid-year with 1 rig, and it has been going more slowly than we'd anticipated. And that's due to 2 reasons, really. One is we It's great to be next door to an operating mine. It gives us benefits of using some of their infrastructure, but we also have to learn how to work within their bureaucracy and just the procedures that you have associated with the mine. So that's slowed us down some from what we'd hoped. We're learning the ropes on that. We're learning how to work together and make that go forward more quickly. And then also the rocks are very difficult drilling wise. And it's probably some of the more challenging drilling conditions I've seen as a geologist. That usually is good news for a geologist. If it's tough drilling, it's often because it's well mineralized. So between those two, it's been a little bit slower start. We've only announced our first 3 holes. We have another 2 holes that'll be out here in the very near future on this. We will be moving to 3 rigs here in another week or 2. They're on site. They're going through the process of being okay to work within the mine. And we hope that that'll pick up the speed on the project. And then particularly by the time we get it well into next year, we'd like to take the rig count up to 5 and be drilling pretty steadily. One of the challenges we have right now is everybody naturally looks hole by hole as we go. We're looking forward to being able to table the next 50 holes and start talking about substantial increase in resource.
And there, you know, I mean, not to go too far into the, as it's called, the geoporn, but I mean, certainly one of the attractions of this project, I mean, aside from the strong management team led by John and Fernando, I mean, the project has really generated some pretty amazing results. I mean, just as something to leave people with, can you just kind of give us a sense of what the first couple of holes look like here? I mean,
well, the first hole was an unusual one for us because all of the holes that we're drilling in these first months of drilling on the campaign are on the southern margin of the deposit, of the known deposit that we have, and we're drilling back beneath our land position. So anything we find in these holes is an extension to the mineralization previously known. But they have essentially 2 targets in each hole. The top part is the high sulfidation target in the volcanic rocks. And the bottom half of the hole will be in the sedimentary environment with potential for the copper gold skarn. The first hole we lost actually right on the contact, and we only tested the upper target, but we had some spectacular results on that. We had 184 meters of more than 1% copper and pretty substantial, more than 1.5% copper and a gram of gold with it as well. So quite interesting grades on that. We consider it a half hole, really, because it didn't test the lower target. The next 2 holes tested both the upper and the lower targets. And we're hitting substantial runs. The hole 160, which is the 3rd hole that we reported, it's using the mine's numbering sequence on that, had over 500 meters of 0.65 copper and pretty substantial 0.47 gold with it. So very, very nice intercept over a substantial run on it. And that included mineralization both in the high sulfidation and in the skarn.
Yeah, and my understanding is as you move away from that pit, you're expecting it to get more skarn. Maybe there's a porphyry there someplace?
As we move north, the volcanic rocks decrease in thickness and eventually disappear, and we're only into the skarn environment. So we anticipate more skarn-style mineralization, and it moves us away from the challenge of the arsenic associated with the high sulfidation mineralization. And when we move into that environment, we anticipate that there should be a porphyry driving this style of skarn mineralization. It has not been detected in drilling to date. Geophysically, we see some areas that are potential candidates for the porphyry to occur. And there are breccia bodies that cut through the skarn sequence that are bringing up fragments of well-mineralized porphyry. So it's there, it's lurking there, and it's certainly something we have in our mind on it. The skarn target by itself has potential to be a substantial target, and there are examples of large skarns in Peru, like Antamina and others, that are perfectly attractive targets just as the skarn. So the porphyry would be an added bonus. So.
Yeah, it's this is another company that they already have Regulus has a substantial resource already. I mean, it looks like it's going to get a lot bigger, but even though it's a sort of you could almost say it's a development level deal. Because of the nature of the project, John has generated some really, really impressive drill results, and I expect and hope that's going to continue. I think Regulus is going to be probably one of the stories next year, one of the big ones. I mean, it's already starting to get there, but I think it'll get bigger. Thanks for introducing our viewers to it, John.
Okay, great. Thanks. I look forward to keeping in touch over the next year as we roll more out.